The Ilyushin Il-2 Sturmovik was one of the most significant aircraft of World War II, earning the nickname, "flying tank," due to its heavily armored construction. Designed by Sergei Ilyushin, it was developed to meet the Soviet Air Force's need for a durable and effective ground attack aircraft capable of withstanding enemy fire while destroying tanks, vehicles, and fortified positions. The prototype first flew in 1939, and production began in 1941, just as the Soviet Union faced the full-scale invasion by Nazi Germany. Initially designed as a single-seat aircraft, it was later modified into a two-seat version, adding a rear gunner to address its vulnerability to enemy fighters. The Il-2's integral armor was one of its defining features, forming a protective shell around the engine, cockpit, and fuel tanks, which made it highly resistant to small arms fire and some anti-aircraft artillery. It had a monoplane structure, a low-wing design, and was powered by the Mikulin AM-38 engine, producing 1,700 horsepower, allowing it to perform low-altitude attack runs with precision. The Il-2 was specifically designed for ground attack missions, and its weaponry reflected this role. It was armed with two 23mm via 23 cannons or, in later versions, 37mm NS-37 cannons, which were highly effective against armored targets. It also carried two 7.62mm SHKAS or 12.7mm Berezin UB machine guns, used for strafing infantry and light vehicles. Additionally, it could launch RS-82 or RS-132 rockets, which were devastating against enemy tanks and fortifications, and had a bomb load capacity of 600 kilograms, including high explosive, incendiary, and fragmentation bombs. One of its most devastating weapons was the PTAB anti-tank bomblet, which allowed Il-2 pilots to neutralize entire tank formations by attacking the weaker top armor of German vehicles. Later versions of the aircraft, such as the Il-2M3, were equipped with a 12.7mm Berezin UB machine gun in the rear to provide better defense against enemy fighters, improving its survivability. Compared to its competitors, the Il-2 stood out for its ruggedness and sheer firepower, but it had both strengths and weaknesses. The Junkers Ju-87 Stuka, its main German counterpart, was a highly effective dive bomber, but it was slow, lightly armored, and vulnerable to enemy fighters. The Hawker Typhoon, used by the British, was faster and had powerful cannons and rockets, but it suffered from engine reliability issues. The American P-47 Thunderbolt, although a formidable fighter bomber, was less maneuverable at low altitudes where the Il-2 excelled. Germany also had the HS-129, a dedicated tank-buster aircraft with heavy cannon armament, but it was underpowered and produced in much smaller numbers than the Il-2. The Il-2 saw action in every major battle on the Eastern Front, playing a decisive role in many Soviet victories. In the Battle of Moscow, 1941–1942, it was used to disrupt German supply lines, slowing down the Wehrmacht's advance. During the Battle of Stalingrad, 1942–1943, Il-2s provided crucial air support for Operation Uranus, the Soviet counteroffensive that encircled and destroyed the German Sixth Army. At the Battle of Kursk, 1943, the largest tank battle in history, the Il-2's PTAB bomblets proved devastating against the new German Tiger and Panther tanks, helping turn the tide in favor of the Red Army. The aircraft continued to play a major role in Operation Bagration, 1944, where Soviet forces crushed German Army Group Center, and later in the final battles for Berlin in 1945, where it relentlessly attacked retreating German forces and strategic positions. The Il-2 Sturmovik became a symbol of Soviet resilience and was one of the most mass-produced aircraft in history, with over 36,000 units built. Soviet pilots developed tactical formations to maximize their effectiveness while protecting each other from German fighters, as the Il-2 was most vulnerable when flying alone. Though it was not as fast or maneuverable as some Western aircraft, its armor and firepower made it an unmatched force in the role it was designed for. After the war, the Il-2 influenced the development of later Soviet ground attack aircraft, including the Ilyushin Il-10 and, much later, the Su-25 Frogfoot, which would serve a similar role in modern warfare. The Il-2's contributions to the Soviet war effort were immeasurable, cementing its reputation as one of the most formidable and influential ground attack aircraft ever built.